afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. Welcome to Soccer Talk. I'm Ben Brackett here with my good buddy and co-host Blake Sievers. Siebes, what's up, man?
Hey Ben, we're in the lair today, so
Love it.
I do. It's getting
A
back
little
to
toasty.
roots. That's good. It's better warm than cold. It's cold outside. We came both prepared today because we got quite the episode, the first of a mini series,
Yeah,
regular series.
Probably not less, but not much more than 3 episodes.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody actually wants to talk to us about this. Otherwise, it might just be investigative journalism.
So what are we talking about today, Ben?
Today is the CDL conversation. We're talking kind of about the Club Development League, the Iowa Soccer League, Iowa Soccer Association. It's the hot topic, at least in our channels, right? I mean, I guess other than like the inauguration and some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's stay tuned. We try to talk about just some of the main points, and we've got invites out to members of the CDL as well as the non-CDL and Iowa Soccer Association to get them on to help us wrap our head around.
Yeah, at least maybe somebody will tell us that we're not being unbiased.
Oh, no chance. No chance, man. Can't please everybody, but that's all right.
We shall see. Okay, so you're just going to hear us chat for a little bit. This is wow, we haven't had a no guest in a while. Well, you guys are going to enjoy this.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, Siebes. I'm a little disappointed because we're starting over here. I feel like we were on a good run before.
So we've done 80 some episodes, and this is the first time we've ever had to do a take 2, isn't it?
I believe so.
Luckily, we haven't had a guest actually today.
I know that would be the worst, is if we had to have a new conversation with the same conversation again with the person. That would be tough. But yeah, so here we are. If you're watching us on YouTube, or there's our pitch for YouTube, right, Blake, is that we're in the lair, aka the closet, right now.
No windows.
No windows, only one door.
Hopefully, there's not a fire. Or some
maybe,
people may
yeah.
Hope there is.
I was gonna say, hopefully there is. So it's nice and toasty in here, and we are just chatting away about the hot topic in Iowa soccer right now. If you've been hiding under a rock, you might not be aware of this, so we'll give you like
That's kind of a harsh statement, Ben, because I think there's a ton of parents that may not be aware.
All right, well, I apologize to all you parents that aren't aware of this. I did not mean anything by the fact that you're hiding under the rocks or a rock. So what's happening, Blake?
So let's get a little backstory. So the topic today is the CDL, Iowa Soccer, non-CDL discussion, maybe is the best way. So some history. Back in the summer of 2020, obviously COVID was around and still is, but there were no tryouts. So they, there's this intent to play, and us at Kick It Forward Soccer Talk, got alerted, I think it's just the same time everybody else did, that this CDL was being formed for the fall, and obviously it put the youth soccer scene in Iowa in complete disarray, shambles.
There's definitely been a little bit of there was probably at one point I would call it a bit of an uproar, and then I would say that it has quelled to a bit of a disgruntled fan base, I would guess, or disgruntled base.
And then it kicked up again
just recently.
Yeah, so that's we talked originally about kind of doing a pod on this subject, and it kind of, like you said, it kind of quelled and wasn't really much going on, and then it again got back on the topic, and so
here we are.
Yes, so we're kind of just over the next few weeks where we've invited members of the CDL, of the non-CDL, and of Iowa Soccer to join us to talk about this and inform you as listeners, coaches, parents, because we sometimes know everything, but definitely not on this subject.
Definitely not on this subject. Yeah, so definitely this episode the target for us is to sort of inform. We did our research from what is out there. This is the hope is that other than if Blake asks my opinion on one thing here or there, or if I ask him his opinion, everything we're saying is meant to just be sort of informative and unbiased. So the I think just in case you don't know, the Iowa Soccer Association is the governing body for soccer in Iowa, and they essentially kind of run everything, right, Blake? They've got everything from all the competitions, the leagues, tournaments like State Cup and President's Cup. They've got ODP, coach education, referees, all the administrative, all the insurance, all that good stuff, right?
Correct. And I think even like the adult, the
that's like
leagues through them.
I don't know if the Hispanic League is through them or the Sunday League is through them.
International League, or
but it's the
they have control of most of any soccer.
Yes,
and they are governor, and then they are part of the U.S. Youth Soccer body. And recently, the U.S. Club Soccer body is kind of trying to make an impact throughout the country, and they've got all these other regional leagues, and that's some of the member clubs in Iowa are also members of U.S. Club Soccer.
Correct. So, ultimately, ISA is kind of overseeing everything. At a certain point, I think it's fair to say some of the top clubs throughout the state.
Top meaning State Cup, if that's your definition of top, which would be a fair assessment for one.
Top clubs. By that I mean clubs that most regularly win State Cup.
And I would argue, we don't want to get opinions, but I could argue, is that really mean you're a top club? Well, I don't know, but are part of this CDL.
Yeah, I would say, and they probably, I would guess overall produce more college soccer players, or I would say that's probably fair as well.
Correct.
So if those are our measurements of the best clubs, then these are probably the top 20% of clubs or so. From what we can tell, there are about 50 clubs in the state of Iowa that are affiliated with ISA. There were originally 9 club development league teams. Now there are 10, so that math kind of checks out. So what I would say then is that other things for people to know are to understand what the ISL is. So the ISL is the Iowa Soccer League. It is the sort of successor to the Iowa Premier Soccer League, which was kind of like as when Blake and I coached, or especially when I coached, that was more of what I coached under. And then now there's the Iowa Soccer League, which just the definition of the Iowa Soccer League, or the write-up that they provide, is that the Iowa Soccer League is a critical part of the Iowa Soccer player development pathway and competitions pathway. The ISL was created to serve the developmental needs of the youth soccer players in Iowa, and is unique in that it is guided by one overarching focus: player development. The ISL strives to be in full alignment with the U.S. soccer player development initiatives. So,
and my question too, Ben, sorry to interrupt you,
no,
it used to be the IPSL. Like you said, I have no idea why they changed. And
I don't either. From what we can, again, this is just what I'm reading. So if you on the CDL website, they talk about the transition of when it was the IPSL. It was managed by the legendary Ted Bizdega.
He is. He's got the best incognito Christmas tree farm.
Oh, he does. He sure does. He does. So the legendary Ted Bizdega, who did tons and tons and tons for Iowa soccer. And then it sounds sort of like as he retired was when Iowa soccer sort of went on this sort of journey to figure out what they were going to become, and ISL was where we've landed. So I can say from previously coaching, from what I understand, some of the CDL clubs, like their grievances or whatever things that they're looking to fix. A lot of times revolve around scheduling. A lot of times revolve around the competitiveness or the closeness of the matches, and all these things. From what I could tell, those are reasonable things to have been frustrated with. Also knowing that it's a tricky thing to do when you've got 50 member clubs across the state.
Yeah, and I think if you want to really get in the weeds, you can go to the CDL website.
Oh, you can read all about it.
And it's a novel. It is. I mean, they've asked questions, they answer the questions. There's a lot of information, but like you said, Ben, ultimately why.
Yeah, but it's how, it's why, it's what are they doing. You can really learn all about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so. So you got that piece, and then that we talked about the ISL is the ISL probably promotes more of the community clubs at this rate. That's what you're playing, and so by CDL stepping out, like this is kind of what they're saying. CDL is about. The Club Development League is a competitive statewide player development league for U13 to U19 players. The league is by membership only, based upon satisfying league club standards. CDL will strive to provide an enjoyable and financially conscientious platform for all players at an appropriate competitive level. Struggling with my pronunciation, seems.
Similar though to.
Yeah, it's very similar. Just maybe a little more detail. They talk about the benefits and the goals surrounding player development, meaningful competition, financial prudence, and minimizing travel. I think those are all things that everybody would want to target.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So then I guess sort of what we're trying to figure out as
and some backstory. So the CDL formed in the summer
Yep.
of 2020.
Yep, July-ish.
With the 9 teams. Where you got your two kind of corridors.
Yep.
Central Iowa kind of corridor of Ames, Iowa Rush,
which is in Ankeny,
Sporting Iowa Central,
which is Johnson, Urbandale, West Des Moines,
and VSA,
Waukee.
And then you've got your kind of Eastern Iowa corridor. Originally was, or still is now, but you've got CRSA,
Cedar Rapids,
Cedar Valley,
Waterloo,
FC United,
also Cedar Rapids, right?
Yep, Sporting Iowa East,
in Bettendorf,
and then ISC
in Muskie.
ISC, Iowa Soccer Club.
I was looking at the paper.
And then Pearl City. So now there's 10, but you kind of got your Central Iowa corridor and your Eastern Iowa one. And if you're out west,
up north or down south, SOL.
I don't know, figure that out. But so those original 9, Pearl City came in later, but those original 9 kind of all went crazy in the summer, and there was discussions about different governing bodies getting outside of Iowa soccer, and ultimately they wanted to, I think, again, hopefully a representative of the CDL will come on with us, but I think they wanted to make sure they still were able to play in State Cup. And if they form their own league, not governed by Iowa soccer, there's problems if you want to play in State Cup then.
Right. In addition to that, if you're not a member of Iowa Soccer, the Iowa Soccer Association, you can't participate in the ODP program because that is a requirement as far as we can tell.
Yep. And again, so if anybody knows that's false or anything we're saying is wrong, slide into the DMs.
We love it when they slide into the DMs, don't we, Steve?
Yes. And we've been corrected before and we'll be corrected again, but that's kind of what our understanding is at this point. So they wanted to break away from Iowa, or they wanted Iowa soccer to change the ISL, didn't they, Ben?
That's correct.
To make some changes, and that's when it comes into the scheduling and travel.
Yep. Yeah, and so I think part of the goals of minimizing travel for the CDL, or sort of consolidating travel, is to have more coaches on site to provide their players with good match day experience, which I think also makes sense. I think that I'm just sort of trying to discern the difference. Other than I know you have to apply to be a part of the CDL. Otherwise, it seems to me that the only difference is that everybody's still participating in State Cup, and you can decide whether, if you also want to participate in President's Cup, do you have to participate in State Cup and lose first, or do you, are you all? It's all the same, right? So like you're basically like that's what you're getting is you're providing President's Cup and State Cup.
And are you saying that's kind of the reason?
Am I botching it?
No, I'm just trying to follow you.
So what I'm saying is that that's like everybody can participate in that if you're an ISL or CDL.
Currently today, or in the
Yes.
fall, that was the rule. Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
So the
So-
only difference is that is ISL versus CDL at this point. Like you're in what competition?
Well, I think the exclusivity is an issue with the non-CDL clubs where, like you said, you have to apply, and I mean we have the standards, but it seems like again, standards are on the website.
They're based
For
around
clubs,
licensing, coach licensing,
which is a huge. I mean, I think just looking at their standards, that hits a lot of their points of grassroots coaching instructor,
Facilities.
B, a C license.
and facilities.
Unless you want to travel, but yes, you have to have a certain number of facilities. You have to have a certain number of teams in your club to be part of the CDL. And it appears, again, this is just me just reading it, but it appears that you just there's other than that, it's a vote.
Yeah, independent teams can join.
Yeah, but that goes by a vote.
Correct.
Or via vote.
Yeah, I would say that if you've got the correct, well, again, it doesn't. It's very confusing.
And I think that's where, again, just from what we've heard, seen, read, the non-CDL clubs are being excluded and would normally not play the CDL clubs potentially ever if the CDL has their own league where they don't play anybody outside of their group of 10 clubs outside of potentially State Cup or President's Cup.
Yeah, so I think then like the implied problem here is, just it's surrounding, we talked about the sort of central Iowa corridor and the eastern Iowa corridor. And I think, if you're a player in any of those areas, now you're trying to decide let's use my home club or closest club to my home at 63rd and Grand, the Des Moines Soccer Club.
Our old stomping grounds.
That's right, over there at Albert. If you think about that club, if I play for them, maybe I go to Roosevelt and I have the opportunity, maybe I'm a decent player, I'm 15, 16. Now I've got to decide if I want to go try out for Sporting or, maybe VSA as opposed to stick with my club because according to what I'm understanding, the CDL is meant for a higher level of competition. So I think that seems to me a reasonable reason, totally logical reason behind why the non-CDL clubs or the ISL clubs might be concerned about the CDL because now it's you're taking your best top teams, your older age groups, more and more it becomes meaningful. Then there you go. You want to make sure that you're on a team that wins State Cup and that goes to other competitions. So then that brings me to where you're going to try and get my opinion before when we recorded the first time.
I learned my lesson. I wasn't going to ask it.
No, correct. But the question then, so the idea of the CDL is to provide meaningful games. The reason for ISL is to promote player development. So, both of those things should be hand in hand and can get along. The question that I start to ask or try to understand is just at what point is there a difference? You're keeping track of the scores, but you're not keeping track of standings. The only time it matters is the State Cup. But if you're a bad team, let's just say let's say I'm like a rec level team at Des Moines Soccer Club, but we enter State Cup and we go and play Sporting Iowa, we're gonna get thumped, right? Because we've never played a team of that caliber of quality. So it's just sort of you want to have meaningful games, you want to have close games, you want to have competitive games. We're going to keep score, but we're not going to keep standings. That's the way it is in the CDL. That's the way it is in the ISL. But then we put all this emphasis on State Cup. Not to mention, if we're producing players, they're going to go play in college. And in college, what do? You keep track of every single result. Ultimately, we want, while we realize that very few players are going to go play professionally, the way that those players get developed is by competing. And I think that development comes from competing. So to me, it it doesn't seem like this is making anything more competitive other than for that top 10%, 20%. And even if then, um, I mean, is that it's all still in like the same little region. So it's like all the guys in Central Iowa play against each other, all the girls in Central Iowa play against each other, and same on the eastern part of the state. What about like Northern Iowa, Western Iowa, Southern Iowa?
So we just talked kind of in between our debacle there of recordings that the state tournament, there was that boy goalkeeper from Council Bluffs Lewis Central. Like, to me, I think in the
You played in Omaha.
That's exact. Yeah, he went play in Omaha.
Yep.
But yeah, I think ultimately the one thing we haven't talked about is like the financial piece.
Yeah.
Which no matter what anybody can say has to be a huge piece of it because I don't know the answer, but Iowa Soccer gets a registration fee. Granted, they have to pay insurance and there's other administrative fees there, but they get a fee from every player. So now all of a sudden, if you have 10 clubs, and I think it's fair to say, at least on the rec, I don't even know what the definition are. There's rec and there's just say competitive. It used to be select, but
classic.
There's the rec side that is the obviously the cheaper of the options than most of the clubs, but the CDL clubs, those are arguably the 10 biggest soccer clubs in the state. So if Iowa Soccer loses the 10 biggest clubs registration fees and insurance fees, I assume they get a deal on insurance with the number of registered players, right? Instead of X amount for this number.
One, and mind you, a lot of these teams have like a Sporting or VSA or I assume the Eastern Iowa clubs are the same too. Like they've got multiple levels, right? So they've got an A team, a B team, a C team. So they've got a team that's probably competing in different regional competitions and stuff like the MPSL, or nationally, regionally, whatever, that kind of stuff. And then you've got like teams that are just going to compete in state cup, and then they're like President's Cup, or like teams that just won't play in state cup. So, again, it just I'm just so confused. If I was a player, it would be really difficult to make a decision, especially if you've grown up playing with a bunch of guys that are or gals that are all from your neighborhood or from your school. Now you're kind of being forced to make that decision, and I did that, right? I mean, you did that at a certain point, right? But in those times, like I'm trying to think, like if you were let's say you're an 84 player in the state of Iowa, what were your options? You're going to play for the West Des Moines Attack or Iowa United, right? And we played for Iowa United and used to get thumped by West Des Moines. And West Des Moines would win state cup every single year. And eventually I went and played for the team in Omaha. And then eventually we both ended up playing for West Des Moines, right? And we continued to be the best team in the state. But by the time we were seniors, there was only one team left, right? Like we played, do you remember playing state cup when we were like,
I don't think so. And I don't even that's.
It would have been a one-off game. We would have, won big.
Which is what happens still in most. I think even
it's not uncommon.
This fall, I think the U18, there's just two teams that entered.
Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder, like, I mean, gosh, that's how many years now? 20 years? Ugh.
Yeah.
So old. What other points you got here, Steves? I feel like we're covering it all. It's not rocket science, is it? I mean, it's very much stuff that you can read and understand, and it's not. I don't think that we're being very biased one way or the other. I think we're just trying to lay it out there.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting who comes on and who doesn't, and what questions get asked and how they get answered. I think because again, there's more questions maybe than anything else right now, and I hopefully everybody's in it for the kids and for the right reasons, and I guess we'll see, and it'll be interesting how this all transpires over the next
few episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, the next few months and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's, I think we could kind of talk circles around it and trying to explain it all, but I think what we'd be looking for now is assuming you're not one of the people we're going to invite on the show, if you've got questions, slide into our DMs. If you'd like to come on, you have any information about this, like, and you want to talk about it, that'd be awesome. Um, we're just kind of trying to figure it out, and yeah, I think, in addition to, we talked about parents kind of wanting to understand it. Like, if I'm a player, I would want to understand it too, and just know, like, on the at face value, it's as simple as like, well, if I want to play at the next level, I need to play for a CDL club.
That's like the message.
That's what I hear if I'm a player. So I don't know. I mean, that might not necessarily be the message, but
Okay, that's right. That's what I
if
am
I'm
reading.
16, I guarantee. Well, yeah, and even if I'm 36, that's what I'm reading. So
And we just need to figure out, is that the actual case or not?
yeah, I mean, even if it is, I think it's reasonable. I think it's just there's a reason why the other clubs might be frustrated or disappointed. All right, well, let's just see.
Stay tuned.
Let's see. Yeah, we're definitely stepping into the chilly deep water right now, aren't we?
Love it.
All right, Steve. So normally I would say good chat, but it was our chat, so like I enjoyed that. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, hopefully it's a teaser for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's probably people are probably going to be more interested in the other episodes, what other people have to say. And again, hopefully we were just trying to lay it all out there. Biased or not, I'm sure we'll hear from someone. I hope.
Well,
we shouldn't hope too hard, otherwise they're going to know that's what we want.
No, so again, stay tuned. Social media platforms and channels to let you know who we have coming up. We're on Twitter at KIF_soccer, Instagram KIF Soccer, Facebook KIF Soccer, YouTube page Kick It Forward. If you search our website KIF Soccer, you can join the supporters club still. We got all of our swag in. We got pint glasses finally came in.
Check out the scarf. This without ruining everything.
Again, check us out on YouTube right now. Ben, I'll show you the scarf that is
backwards.
Is in.
There we go.
Here's the pint glass.
Yeah, no beer in that one though.
No, they haven't been washed yet, but we'll get those washed before we send those out.
Will we?
The stickers are in. The magnets are in.
Oh yeah, it's the good stuff. Have we closed that yet?
So stay tuned.
Okay, bye.